Hi, welcome back to another episode of Figs Talks Fights. I'm your host, Brian Figueredo, and today we're going to get into episode 2 of Figs Fights Flashbacks. And this one's going to be a UFC 69 that took place on Saturday, April the 7th at the the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. For your main event, George St Pierre taking on challenger Matt Serra. Hell of a night. Coming into this fight, George St Pierre was your fresh, newly crowned champion who just took out Matt Hughes, I believe 4 months prior in November of 2006, where he was crowned the new welterweight champion by winning via head kick and brutal elbows on the ground. Matt Serra was coming into this fight, coming off winning Season 4 of The Ultimate Fighter, which was the comeback series. Okay? Pretty much everybody counted out Matt Serra, including myself. I don't even think Matt Serra's mom thought he was going to win this fight. But let's get into a bit of a backstory on these two guys. Now, George St Pierre at this time was 13-1 coming into this fight, and he looked like the future, and for good reason too. His only loss at this point was to Matt Hughes in his 7th ever fight at UFC 50, where Matt Hughes was coming back to reclaim his title after losing it to BJ Penn at UFC 46. Hell of an upset. If you haven't seen that one, great to go back and check that one out. But that was a fight where George St Pierre was actually starting to win. He couldn't even look Matt Hughes down in the stare down of this fight. I mean, his 7th fight to go against Matt Hughes. If you didn't see Matt Hughes back in the day, holy shit. Matt Hughes was a pound for pound great. He was a scary, strong wrestler who got on top of you. Didn't matter if he was in guard, half guard, side control, mount. This guy gets on top of you, you are in deep shit. Now, for wrestlers back in that era, one thing that made Matt Hughes so significant at the time was he had great submission skills. Submission defense and submission skills. Try to pull a triangle off that guy? Are you kidding me? Matt Hughes had traps up to here, which just literally push his way through and punish you for it. Okay? So, since then, George St Pierre, after his loss to Matt Hughes, where he lost at 4:59 in the first round by an armbar, literally St Pierre tapped with 1 second left, but nonetheless, over. Okay? St Pierre was on a hot run, going through Jason Mayhem Miller, okay? Going through Frank Trigg, going through Sean Shirk, going through a very close fight with BJ Penn where he had to face serious adversity, where he broke his nose in the first round. And then coming into the Matt Hughes fight, he was on fire. Full momentum, pretty much put a clinic on Matt Hughes at UFC 65. So coming into this fight, is he taking on Matt Serra? I mean, Matt Serra had pretty much an almost 500 record at that point in the UFC, not his overall record. He was known for being in that first lightweight tournament that they did back at, I believe, UFC 40, where him and Dean Thomas fought in that weird controversial decision where Matt Serra was declared the winner. Then they went backstage and then they recalculated the judges. And I mean, back in the day, MMA was not taken seriously at all. If you don't think it's taken seriously now, then it was a sideshow. And pardon me, I think that was UFC 41, not UFC 40. But they actually went back and called Dean Thomas the winner. They looked at the wrong name on the judges' scorecards. Ha! What a long way. You thought the judges are bad now? Pfft, at least they get the names right. Anyhow, moving forward. Matt Serra was freshly cut from the UFC, I believe after UFC 53, where he took on Carl Parisian. And pretty much, I thought Carl Parisian was getting knocked out in that fight. In the first round, Matt Serra had him in all kinds of trouble, but Carl rallied back. Okay, Matt Serra's got great Gracie Serra style jiu-jitsu. It's just not enough, and Carl Parisian was too much for Matt Serra. So Matt Serra went on The Ultimate Fighter Season 4, which was a comeback series. They had guys from all different eras coming in there. And the unique thing about winning this season of The Ultimate Fighter was you get a title shot. Not you win a trophy. They're all veterans before, so they got a title shot. However, in the time The Ultimate Fighter was looked at like, these guys are just reality show stars. None of them had won a title at that point. This was before your TJ Dillashaw's, even the Forrest Griffins, Rashad Evans. Okay, lots of great talent came off of that show, but still at this time they were looked down upon. Okay, you guys are just a reality TV show, guys, on Spike TV, guys in the UFC. Come on. So even though Matt Serra was a veteran of the sport, everybody was counting him out. Like I said, even me. Now, coming into this night, I remember I watched this fight at a local bar in my hometown of Cambridge, Ontario in Canada. And I remember right when these guys entered the cage, I grabbed my pint, took a sip, and there was a guy sitting next to me. I said, "Who do you got in this one?" He's like, "I don't know, anything could happen." This guy was really not even a casual at best. And I'm telling him, no chance Matt Serra has. I'm telling you, George St Pierre, this guy's something special. He's great. He's going to mop the floor with him. This guy's nudging my elbow going, "Hey, you never know. It's a fight. Anything can happen." Okay, sure. So, fight starts, and George St Pierre is doing what he does. Very confident with his stand-up. I believe George St Pierre stands at 5'10", has a 76-inch reach, and Matt Serra is 5'6", okay, and I believe he has like a 69 or 70-inch reach. The stats were on George St Pierre's side, okay? If you look at the body types, yes, they weighed the same, but George St Pierre is more of a muscular ectomorph, thinner in the hips, longer frame, where Matt Serra is more of a blocky endomorph. If you actually see the two of them beside each other, Matt Serra's hips are actually wider than George St Pierre. He's just got a real thick frame. So I know at 5'6", it sounds like he's tiny for welterweight, but he is compact as hell. And oh man, does he ever pack power into his punches. So these guys, the fight starts, George St Pierre is just flicking that switch stance left kick. Okay, he's got a karate background, and St Pierre was one of the best for it. Normally, when you're throwing a left kick, you'll either switch your feet fast and then just swivel your hips across. You don't normally stand in the orthodox stance and just lift and get the power off there. You want to switch your feet and turn your hips into the momentum there. But St Pierre was just great for just flicking it out there, flicking it out there. Plus, for somebody who doesn't have to wind up on it, meaning knock Matt Hughes out with it, has to have some power behind it. So he keeps flicking this out there against Matt Serra. Moving around, not working too much at the jab. Matt Serra is just keeping in there, staying smart, staying steady, okay? Moving his head in there, getting that little bit of a Philly shell coming down, putting his hand down, throwing the jab up high. And as much as St Pierre is trying to circle around and change the angle and cut off Serra, Serra would not have it. Serra just followed make sure that his feet were following exactly where St Pierre's shoulders were. For an example, if St Pierre is coming on this angle, from here against Matt Serra to set him up, Serra would just keep parallel with him the whole time. So about 3 minutes into this fight, the unfucking believable happens. Matt Serra just, boom, throws an overhand right, clips George St Pierre right here on the back of the head. Not really on the back of the head, but just behind the ear, okay? Don't hit yourself there. You're going to find out how you can get rocked so easily, okay? And don't hit people there either. You're going to break your fucking hand, okay? Anyhow, nonetheless, St Pierre gets on wobbly legs and starts to try to get out of the way. Matt Serra was a shark smelling blood in the water and just went for it right from that point. Now, St Pierre would learn from this fight, because what he's done later in his career, he did not do this night, which was try to get your wits about you, circle, and create some distance. Not a fucking chance. St Pierre is thinking, I just got rocked by Matt Serra? Are you kidding me? I'm going to come right after him. Now these guys, I should mention, on The Ultimate Fighter Season 4, they trained together. St Pierre was not one of the coaches there, but one of the staff members and training partners for everybody on that season of The Ultimate Fighter. So these guys already knew each other for a bit. So St Pierre thought, look, I got this. I've sparred with him before. I'm going to just get right after it. No way. Matt Serra had stood there, great head movement, and just kept firing and returning. Every time George got wobbled, okay, he didn't just run after him, just stepped in, got into his range, got onto him. He kept connecting with big shots, and these were big shots, right? Matt Serra is put people away. Go watch him at UFC 109 put away Frank Trigg. Just with one shot. He has power. And people were saying St. Pierre doesn't have a chin. He kept taking brutal shots from him. So eventually, St. Pierre falls to the ground. Matt Serra quickly cuts through the guard, gets on the mount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. St. Pierre smartly turns away, taps through the strikes. It's over. Are you kidding me? Matt the Terror Serra is your new welterweight champion against George St Pierre? He took the title from St Pierre. Holy shit, nobody saw this coming. Now I'm getting nudged at the bar by this guy telling me, I told you anything could happen. I'm looking at him like, man, you got fucking lucky. Don't start going to bookies with this kind of instinct. Holy shit, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what happened. Matt Serra is running around, raising his hand. Even he's in shock. St. Pierre, you could see him get up, okay? His corner's there. You could just see him look at the screen and goes, fuck. And this is a clean mouth guy, not a potty mouth like me. St. Pierre, you probably have more fingers than times you've ever heard him say fuck or tabernacle, all right? Oh, he was saying it that night. Matt Serra gets on the mic with Joe Rogan after, says, look, how much of pie are you guys serving up for me tonight? I'd like a big fat slice of humble pie. Matt Serra knew he did the unthinkable that night, but good for him. Because it doesn't matter what the odds are in a fight, okay? I've said this before, the pin drops, two elite athletes facing each other, it just takes one slip up, one bad day. I don't care how skilled you are. They all eventually get it to them, all right? You're going to catch an L in this sport. It just happens. I know Habib's undefeated, but yeah, I'm sure his comeuppance is going to be due one day too. So who the hell knows? St. Pierre gets on the mic after. No excuses. Hey, look, he beat me fairly squarely, I think he even said, with his Canadian-French accent. But, I mean, St. Pierre was pretty humble in defeat too. Said he'd come back and win the title. He eventually did, and this was actually the last night St. Pierre ever lost. Now, I know there was that night in November of 2013 with St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks. A lot of people thought Johnny Hendricks won that fight. Some thought St. Pierre won that fight. Man, every time I've rewatched that one, I think whoever I thought won the fight last time lost it the next time. It is a close effing fight, but on the official scorecards, this was the last time St. Pierre ever lost. And these guys got to rematch a year later, but maybe we'll save that one for another day. So if you stuck around and watched this video, want to say thank you very much for watching it. To those that have been following the Figs Talks Fights channel, I promised this was going to come out before. Look, got a 2.5-year-old son. He fell a little ill. We are in the middle of a pandemic, so he's all good now. He's a hell of a fucking fighter, but life was on hold for a bit, so apologies to all those that were looking forward to this video getting out a little quicker, but we're here now. If you don't mind, give this shit a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Who fucking cares? Subscribe to the channel if you can. Until next time,